SoundCartel.
Millennials used to get a pretty bad rap. They were called lazy, spoilt, impatient. But the truth is, they're change makers. They're driven, connected, and they're going to make up the majority of the workforce by 2025. So how can you adjust your practices to attract this important generation of workers? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. The first of their generation were born in 1981 and entered the workforce in 1998. Like all of us, millennials are getting older. These days, they're leading some of the fastest growing companies in the world, and their purchasing power is massive. If you don't have millennials in your workplace, you're at a disadvantage in future-proofing your business, says Faccini, CEO and founder of brand agency The Sponge. Shortly, Luke explains how to attract millennials to work for you. But first, Heather Dawson asks, why should millennials be a priority for our businesses?
They are now 35% of the workforce. So that's a big enough reason that now is the right time. But if you look 10 years into the future, 2030, almost 10 years, they will be 75% of the workforce. So if you want to attract and retain millennials, which unless you're going out of business or you're looking at robotics, then you'll want to make them a priority.
So why are millennials any different to any previous generation?
Yeah, there's a lot to this. We are in the era of connectedness with social media and everything on demand. The millennials have grown up with that, where we haven't. So they are aware. They're more aware of what's going on in the world. They're more educated. They've been spoiled by their parents, which leads them to be known as, well, the stereotype of the entitled generation.
That's right. And so where does their sense of entitlement come from?
It's a funny one, that. Could it be the trophies that they've been given just for showing up? I don't know. Could it be that everything seems to be relatively easy for them because their parents have worked so hard to provide that? And I do generalize this to this concept is really important in, I guess, socially more mature or higher consciousness society. I know that it doesn't play well for everywhere, and especially in emerging markets, but for Australia, for the US, for UK, Canada, having their basic needs met, it is a thing.
So you're saying that we need to consider how our businesses and how our brand sits with this particular age group. But what does that really mean, Luke?
Really, if you don't evolve your business, it means that the people that your brand is currently attracting, both for team members and for customers, will eventually die off, which means your business will eventually die off. So if you want to future-proof your business and attract and retain awesome talent in the millennial pool and actually evolve your customer base to be millennials also, then you do need to think about this.
But exactly what do you need to think about? Do you need to think about proving that you're changing the world or something like that?
No, it doesn't have to be that big an impact. You can just rethink potentially how you do your business, whether what you're producing is done ethically or sustainably, and then incorporate that message, that sustainability message, that ethical message into your brand. Make it a part of the culture of the organization, the story that you tell, something that you can authentically live as an organization.
Because not every business can support a, doing good in the world type brand, can it? I mean, making widgets a bit different from running environmental projects. So do all businesses nonetheless need to take note?
Millennials want to work for a brand that has meaning, that has a positive impact. You don't necessarily have to be the next world changer and do everything completely without keeping a profit in the organization or without having financial success. But you do need to think about how you're producing what you do. Widgets, whatever they might be, the way that they're produced could be empowering a community. It could be using an alternate material that's beneficial for the planet. It could be that the widget done differently could actually solve a big problem in the world. So it doesn't have to be a massive shift. It doesn't have to be a total charitable transformation. It could just be how you're doing business now. Just realigning it so you give the millennials and people that align with that way of thinking something to align with.
What about business-to-business enterprises as opposed to companies dealing direct with consumers? Do business-to-business businesses need to consider millennials too and their ideals?
73% of millennials will pay a premium for goods that are sustainable. And that's a pretty significant shift in how it was. I think it was 50% maybe 5 years ago. So it's a growing trend. Now, if you're not focusing on the end consumer, this audience still wants to work for and be involved with creating sustainable goods. So you might be a business-to-business model. You still need people to help you deliver on that. And increasingly, the buyer on the other end for that other business will be millennial and will want to support brands and businesses that have those values that they align with.
So what do we need to do then to win the hearts and minds of the millennial generation?
It depends on the state of your business. It could be a cultural realignment. It could be looking at your deliverables and how they're produced and looking at a more sustainable and ethical way. It could be about finding a cause that aligns with what you do, that has a clear connection with what it is that you sell, and then making that a focus of supporting that. Again, it doesn't have to be a major thing, but if you do it authentically and build it into your values, into your purpose, and into your brand story, into your recruitment process and into your sales, you will get that story into those hungry millennial minds.
Well, final question, Luke. What about Gen X? Are they continuing the demanding ideals of millennials?
Yeah. Well, in my book, I address this concept as the millennial concept because it's more of an era today rather than an age or a demographic. I'm clearly not a millennial. I feel like a millennial, but I am a Generation X, and I feel this shift. I feel this consciousness evolution that's happening. And I know many baby boomers that are too. So it's not so much making your brand millennial proof, which it is, it's making it future proof. So I encourage everyone to take a look at this.
That was CEO and founder of The Sponge, Luke Faccini. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast.
SoundCartel.